What's up, Chasin Tails fans? It's episode 65. We got a great guest on tonight, Tanner Foust. He joined our world this year in H1 Unlimited, but he comes from a professional racing background. He's a stunt driver, a TV host, does some things with movies as a stunt devil, all that kind of stuff. He's done multiple X Games gold medals with Rallycross. Looking forward to hearing his perspective on not only our sport, but other sports he's been a part of. So let's go ahead and bring him on. Hey
Hey,
Tanner, welcome
fellas.
to Chasing Tails.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. So first off, start off, our viewers may not be familiar with your background. Can you give us like a little summary of kind of everything you've done? I know that could go on for an hour, but try to summarize the best you can.
It all started when I was 6 years old, I think. No, it's like sitting in the therapist's office, right? No, it's I my I started racing a little bit late in life. I was like figured out that I loved cars early on, but didn't get into racing till probably my teens. And then yeah, I've been racing for the last 30 years. Been lucky to race cars in a lot of disciplines, everything from formula cars and some stock car stuff, off-road, road racing, um, and rally racing and drifting. So now I do kind of one-off events. Not too many full championships anymore, but I do like Baja 1000, Pikes Peak, and I did Le Mans this year in France, and some one-off things like that. But still hold a couple world records for Hot Wheels, longest jump and biggest loop, and then do stunt driving for films, like you mentioned, and used to host a lot more TV show stuff, but not too many TV shows. They're always in the mix. But I used to host Top Gear on History
Yeah,
Channel.
I watched
Top
that.
Gear's cool.
Whatever happened to that? Why did it kind of go away?
It was a complicated thing to begin with because it was History Channel and BBC co-produced it. The BBC is basically the British government. It's a non-profit government-owned thing, and numbers were always good. It was at that time when streaming started taking over. It was an expensive show to make. I mean, we shot 150 days a year to get uh, 13 to 16 episodes. So it was half the year was filming. We shot on that show 6 seasons. So we did like over 750 days of filming.
Wow.
Crazy.
So I think it was a very expensive show to make. And when the History Channel and BBC just sort of kind of started complaining to each other who was paying more and who was getting more out of it, and eventually it was lost in a political battle, which I think, to be completely honest, the three of us were looking to get half of our year back. Anyway, we never knew it was going to, go that long. We loved doing it, but I didn't have kids at the time, so that was okay. And then I did have a kid towards the end, and it wasn't okay. Rutledge had kids, that wasn't okay. Adam had a dog, that was probably okay. But it was like life balance was starting to get a little worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see that. That's definitely a lot of days going on. So what would you say was your favorite form of motorsports that you've raced, if you can put that one down?
I think one of my favorites was rally racing through the forest. You had a co-driver with you. They're barking out what coming up next, and you just had to go 100% committed on a road you'd never seen before. I started doing it about this. What's that?
That's crazy.
This is so scary.
So what do you do? I mean, how's the feeling when you're going 80, 90, 100 plus in those little trails with just trees just whipping past you that can just stop that car in a heartbeat?
Yeah, you don't feel the speed, but you see what gear you're in.
Yeah.
And there's like a gear indicator on the dash, and when you see 6 pop up there and you hear the revs just keep climbing, you're like, man, we're freaking moving right now.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, I started about the same time Pastrana did and Ken did and Dave Mira. Bucky Lasseter got into it a little bit later. So it was kind of a transition time from X Games. All these, Travis kind of coined the phrase, like, with age comes a cage. So all these X Games guys that were breaking bones doing whatever they were doing, whether it was on a bike or motorcycle or skateboard, were like, man, let's get in a car. We got a roll cage. We're invincible. And rally, everybody kind of tried to get rally to go. It was a huge sport around the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It's just a tough sport to market in the US. You know, you got to go out in the woods. You got to watch one car come by per minute. You don't see much of the track. So that's when we really pushed to bring a sport called Rallycross to the US. And that was a company that I had with my manager, and we started that out here. There was a big proponent of it at Ford, a couple other companies, a guy who owned a team named Andreas Eriksson, and we all got that going. I ended up just driving in it, not owning any team or owning the series or anything. But Ken and Travis and everybody jumped on board. And that one, the track was like 6 cars at a time. You could see the whole track from one seat with your beer in your hand. And so it made it consumable for people. And then I did Rallycross for years. I did it in Europe and here. And I left drifting completely just at that point to do Rallycross.
That's really cool.
When I was 18, I actually hit like a transition. I was racing SCCA and hydroplanes, obviously, but I started to look heavily into global rallycross and trying to get sponsors, and just never materialized. But that series was you could see it on that path of growth, that it looked exciting. It had the elements of racing, the technical turns, and then the jumping that is the extreme aspect of it. It was a really cool series, and unfortunate that it kind of dwindled, but I believe they're trying to bring it back as Nitro Cross now.
They did, yeah. And Global Cross was probably the heyday. That was moving out of, still did X Games once a year. We were on NBC Live Sunday afternoons. The owner of the series did an amazing deal. There were like 5 car manufacturers, which car manufacturers really make the motorsport world go around in car racing. And that did an amazing deal so that they basically funded this NBC Live coverage, which was super expensive. And all the sponsors, I was Rockstar. I had been with Rockstar for years. Energy drinks and stuff, they were like getting a bargain. You know, to be on live network TV was super expensive in any sport. You had to be basically basketball or baseball or NASCAR or something. So they were getting a bargain. The racing was good. The cars were ridiculously technical. Manufacturers were involved, so they were bringing to bear like all of their WRC, all their rally stuff. So I was with Ford, and then with Volkswagen, we drove a Beetle, which was kind of considered the most ridiculous thing ever, but it was
it looked pretty silly
car, and it dominated everything. We won every race almost, and it's like it had all the technology from their rally, through the forest rally program in Europe, which was $150 million program per year. So they were like amazingly dominant cars, and Ford started to catch up. Subaru, not really, but it was a little bit towards the end, but it was, that was the heyday. Nitro came back. So unfortunately in racing, there are some people that don't, manage money or I don't know what happens, but that's what happened. The owner of GRC pissed off a bunch of manufacturers. Then Nitro came in. Kind of something not similar happened, but it was a little mismanagement of some other companies. Dana White was involved, but his company, 301, Travis had kind of sold, I think, his shares of that company. And then it sort of dwindled away too. So here I am now doing Baja 1000 and Pikes Peak and Le Mans. But, in some Porsche Cup races, I kind of like it. I like doing the one-offs, not necessarily having just the concrete bricks in the calendar like you do. You guys are used to your whole lives. Luckily with hydroplane racing, it's fairly short season from the side that I was involved in anyway. A test weekend and then 5 race weekends. Pretty straightforward. In car racing, sometimes you get 16 weekends in there, and that fills up a year.
Between
a lot
test
of those
days and all that stuff, you're there for a week half the time.
It's nice when you can pick and choose what events you want to go to, right?
Yeah, and usually, just like in H1, usually there's a race that is like the cherry on top or the premier event. So it's nice if you can come in with sponsors that are cool with you just doing the one. kind of like how many drivers just come in to do the Indy 500 instead of like the whole Indy series. Because that's, probably winning that is probably more notoriety or exposure than winning the whole Indy championship.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you
Costs a
say the
lot to do it,
H1?
though.
Which is the crown jewel of H1?
Oh, wherever the Gold Cup is, I'd say.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah,
So it
it used
moves.
to for many years it was only in Detroit. When we had the race in Detroit, so that it was a unique course, very tight. Had one tight turn that was called the Rooster Tail turn, and it was a hard turn for the racers to get through. So it was like that was the crown jewel event. And now that the Gold Cup kind of moves around, I feel like the notoriety just follows that.
Interesting.
Which I think, because H1 has struggled here and there. It is good for race sites for that Gold Cup to be able to float around, because it brings a lot of sponsorship potential and fans for that weekend. So it'll help a race out here and there. So it'll give them a little boost to keep them going for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've heard murmurings of Detroit coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely would be cool. It's a unique area. It just needs to like you just said about the other sports, the politics in it, that kind of gets in the way sometimes of having good events and those kind of things. But obviously Penske got Belle Isle back and all that. So there's potential in Detroit area for a big event. And I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think the COVID years really hurt the momentum they were building, trying to get it back. And then, they've been slowly taking steps since then, but
I've heard real positive things at the end of this year. So, Belle Isle, I know we raced on with cars, but yeah, I think in that town, I mean, when we raced on our cars, it's almost like we did it at a time when nobody really cared.
Yeah.
Because it just was so kind of in the dumps at that time and recovering. And I shot a movie there called, I was doubling Chris Hemsworth for obvious reasons. And I don't know why that's funny, but he was, it was for the movie Red Dawn, and he was just getting buffed up for Thor. He just got in that movie. So it was before he really blew up again and went into the Marvel universe. And so he was this huge dude. But anyway, we shot down in Detroit, and we could close down anything. We could blast through any building. They lit bombs downtown that blew the windows out of whole skyscrapers.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, if you ever watch that movie again.
I've watched that a lot of times.
that's a good movie. I like that movie.
Wow.
They're like, those neighborhoods were real. They just came to me. They're like, okay, here's the deal. Day one, it was amazing. It was like therapy. Here's the deal. You're going to show up. Guys are dropping out of the sky. So all you can do, turn left, go through here. You're going to hit this tree. We got it all scored down. It's going to fall over. You're going to slide through these bushes. You're going to blast through this fence, hit this playground set. It's all cut up. It's just going to blow away. Now you're going to slide through this yard. And I'm just like, really? And we're just like walking, scouting this thing. It's like, and you're going to build up a bunch of speed, blast through this fence, slide between these trees. And I'm just like, hell yes, I needed this.
Awesome.
This was like, I had a bad week. I like rolled a car in a race or something. I was like, this is exactly what I needed. And it was like 2 weeks of just therapy, smashing through yards and destroying stuff.
Motorsport version of a rage room.
Yeah, exactly. It's a truck version of a rage room. And but yeah, that was the time in Detroit where you could just rent out entire city blocks. And
That's wild.
That's awesome.
That is wild.
good with it.
But
so
fun.
Sounds like you had more fun doing that than when Ken Block came to Detroit trying to do one of his drifting videos. And he's just like, there's so many potholes and you can't do this, can't do that. And it just, Detroit is riddled with potholes. It's ridiculous. But
It is. We shot a couple times there in downtown. What do they say in Detroit? They say there's 2 seasons. There's winter and construction.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Not wrong.
Our state flower is construction barrels.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's it. It did make a challenge there. We did like a weird race in downtown. They just gave us downtown six square blocks, and we made a racetrack out of it to race this Corvette around against the clock. And I do remember we had to avoid some pretty big holes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think before we get on to the H1 side of things of this year that you went through, I know the boys were asking earlier, they wanted to hear about your Hot Wheels jump. What was going through your head at the top of that hill before you rolled down in that truck?
On the day it was terrible because it was like just a slight background. We did a bunch of testing. We went the day before and it was like 60 something degrees in Indianapolis. We did speed run down the hill and we had a bailout point because if you didn't make it to 100 miles an hour at the edge of the jump, you were casing into those boxes, which were really just covering up lattices of metal that were going to be coming right through the windshield lists truck, and you were done. So you needed to see triple digits by the time you got to the ramp. Plenty of speed, and then we show up the next day. It's 25 degrees hotter. It's a carbureted truck. They say we can't rejet the truck because it's sitting at the top of the tower. We're estimating you're going to be down about 190 horsepower. And I'm all like, what? And it had 900 and change, but it was, they're like, we don't know if you're going to make the speed, but if you don't make the speed, bail out. But it's kind of like short. There's not like a black and white there. So that's what I was thinking on the day. And it was pretty gnarly. Nobody knew I was there. I had walked through the pits and I know a lot of people in IndyCar. So we had kind of told a story that we were looking at possibly doing the Las Vegas race. And actually with that lie, we almost did get a ride to do Las Vegas that year.
Wow.
It would have been pretty cool. But the truck went down, started making power, and I went by the bailout at 88 miles an hour, and I just remember thinking that it's climbing fast enough. I think it's going to make it to 100. And we did have a bit of a tailwind, so it could have been 97, and then maybe I would have made it. So I got up there. It made the speed, but sorry, this is getting. You guys are all driving.
No, this is great.
awesome.
This is great.
We
I'm
like
gonna play
it.
it while you're talking about it so people can
So
see
I'm
what
in
we're
third
talking
gear. Got up to the ramp. You had to have 107 miles an hour. So I lifted pretty late. You needed 60% throttle in order to get the truck to fly perfect. So there's second gear, and then I get third gear, and then I held the throttle a little too long, and the nose went up. And so I left with 88% throttle instead of 60% throttle just because I was worried about the speed. So in the air, you hit the brakes like a dirt bike to bring the nose back down. But I hit them enough, it stalled the engine. That's why the truck turned to the side there, you can see, because the rotation of the motor. And then the suspension did its amazing job. And then I just locked it up. I thought I was rolling right here.
Yeah, I thought it would dig in.
I would have
and
thought
start
so.
rolling.
Yeah, it didn't roll at all. Almost perfectly centered the logo on the camera guy, which he was happy about.
Yeah, you did that on
And,
purpose.
It's a hell of a
right?
shot.
Yeah, it's like you almost looks like you meant to do that.
Yeah, no,
Like
I thought it was
that's-
going over.
That was perfect.
I thought it was going over. The suspension's incredible, though. When you watch that shot, the thing drops out of the sky.
Yeah.
And it just takes that. It was just nuts. But yeah, it ended up being 107 miles an hour, which was good for 332 feet. And that was 32 feet further than the record at the time. I think the air time was about 3.7 seconds. And you could fly it in the air a little bit with a little braking. But once you stopped the tires, they were stopped. So there was nothing else you could do. You're just hanging on at that point.
Wow. So
now
which
was
one
that-
was?
Oh,
Go ahead, Kyle.
Brandon, you're about to ask what I was going to
You're
ask.
good. You're good. You can ask it.
Yeah. Was that what was more? I don't know. Scary is the right word, but I guess more intimidating: the long jump or the loop?
I'd say the jump was a bigger stunt, but the loop was scarier because you couldn't start small and then get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The loop, we basically built a big ramp or a big loop. And then they're like, okay, there were two people. Remember, there were two that went into one. It's called the double loop. It was one of their toys. They're like, oh, who's going first? And we're like, rock, paper, scissors. And then once we did that, we're like, you need to get like a remote control car to go through. Because first of all, okay, back up. The engineers we were thinking 70, 75 miles an hour. This thing is 6 stories high. So you're on the 6th floor of a building upside down, and it just seemed like you need a lot of speed.
Yeah.
And they said, the engineer said 52 and a half miles an hour. And we were like, BS.
Oh.
There's no way I'm trusting
You
that.
do it. We're like, there's no way.
All right, double that.
2 miles an hour. And so
That's
we
crazy.
told them, all right, fine. Oh, that's after the jump. Yeah, that's the end of it. We told them, okay, fine. So we had them get a full-size remote control car. They send it through there. One of these Evos actually is a car that I bought in 2003. It was my first car I ever bought, and they bought it and converted it into one of these cars.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're both based on Mitsubishi Evos.
Wow.
All right.
But they did this remote control car in the testing, and that thing crashed like the biggest crash you've ever seen. Dropped out of the sky, fireball, tires bouncing. It was awful.
Was it going 52 and a half miles an hour?
Yeah. Well, it turned out that if you case the bottom right there is 6.8 Gs
Oh my gosh.
that you'd take at 52 miles an hour. So any faster here, I barely made that jump, unfortunately.
Bouncing. That was the worst part, probably.
Yeah. Any faster and the G number goes up so high it breaks the car. In this case, it broke the car anyway. But we had to put these stackers on the exhaust or on the suspension, so they had no flex. That's why the things bounced after the jump, because it had no suspension at all. Because if you let them compress, that 6.8 Gs was 30,000 pounds straight down. So it was. We went up in airplanes. We learned how to hold our guts. We went in these aerobatic planes, and we sustained 7 Gs as long as we could. And we had we had these weird hand controls. So the G's were the problem. And the problem with the G's is that they're circles. Instead of, like, if you look at a roller coaster, it's an ellipse, where it's a big radius going up when you're fast, and when you're slow, it's a tight little radius at the top and then a big radius at the bottom. The toy is a circle. And so that means you hit this thing like a wall, and it's just a straight to 6.8 Gs.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had these things so you put the Hans device on, you get all situated, lean back in the car, you get your hands on the bottom of the steering wheel. So if one slips off, it doesn't turn the wheel too much. And then first gear, second gear, you had the rev limiter matched to 52 and a half miles an hour. So it's just sitting there, up down the straightaway at 52. Then you had this hand lock, and you would lock this thing that pushed the pedal to the floor. So if your foot slipped off, it would stay full throttle. Definitely not OSHA approved there, actually, if anything happened. And you just kept going through the crowd, there was concrete, I guess. But so now you're like holding on, you're starting to put, you're doing your hook maneuvers like in a fighter jet, pushing all the blood up into your brain and getting your head back. One of the test jumps, my head went forward against the straps, and I'm looking at my lap going up the thing and there's a little bit of a turn you have to make. And I'm trying to guess where it is till I get to the top, and I can, the G number comes back down. So you got to get your head way back, and then you do it, and there's a little black line that you follow. And then if you look close on the videos, there's white paint at the very top, and that lets you know you're upside down, and you can release the foot lock, the throttle lock, and then drive it from there. You can even drag the brakes on the way down, so you don't have another 6.8 Gs on the way down.
Wow. There's a lot more to that than I would have thought. That's crazy.
Yeah, me too. It seemed excessive. And it was like, we did it twice before either of us even saw the white paint.
Wow.
Because
Really?
our eyeballs were like trying to get matched back up again from that initial hit.
Yeah.
We never did a practice run without breaking a car. And so after 3 runs, we finally were like, man, just pack it up. We never even practiced the jump. We didn't even bother with the jump in practice. We were just like, just pack it up. We're going to go. We'll do our best to make it around the loop and not worried about the jump at this point. Unfortunately, the intake hoses came off the car in the last one on mine. And so I'm full throttle trying to make it to the jump, and I'm barely making power.
Wow.
To get up there. That's why I didn't almost clear the jump. But anyway, yeah.
Wow.
That's what it's like living, when you played with those Hot Wheels as a kid, that's what that little car was going through.
That is
every
wild.
time it was hectic as hell. Then your golden retriever went and chased it down. You know,
Yeah.
that was probably pretty scary.
You've done all this. I think it's time to get you in a boat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, man.
you know, I shied away from jumping in one the first time they offered.
Yeah.
I think I'd do one now that I've like experienced it a little bit and went in the Miss Wahoo and understand just a little bit more. It's just that I know that I'm comfortable understanding where the limit of a tire is and being able to feel when a car's unhappy and it's gonna roll or something's gonna break. And with the boats, it just seems counterintuitive to me. It's like especially if it's choppy, like it seems like you got to push harder or just don't care. It's which seems counterintuitive, and I just don't think I'd be able to tell if something was going bad, and I would just aimlessly walk right into the pit of fire, you know.
Well,
Sorry, we've had plenty of people do that.
we'll have to get you on a unlimited or a Grand Prix, and you can go tell.
Yeah, I can handle a Grand Prix. You can probably jump in our Grand Prix at some point, but unlimited, that's another story. I can't control that.
Grand Prix look gnarly.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's totally different. This was obviously, you know, my first year driving unlimited, driven every other class. But when I got out of the unlimited and then right into the Grand Prix, I thought something was wrong. I was like, this thing is vibrating. The motor's blowing up. Like the unlimited's so smooth and easy. And like the Grand Prix is just like, you're wrestling a alligator there sometimes.
Yeah. By lap 2, you're bucking and kicking on the way in. Like just the violence of the way the rooster tail is just shotgunning out different directions and stuff are just kind of indicators of probably what that ride is like. Yep. Where you watch one of those unlimiteds on a fresh track cruise through there and it looks like smooth sailing. Like it looks as comfortable as can be.
Kind of magical. But yeah, talking about when you talk about the Hot Wheels jump, obviously when you got to experience seeing, I don't know how many, 3 blowovers this year, which is unnormal for us. And that's kind of that feeling you get when that boat takes off. Like it sucks you in the seat and throws you back. And then as you start to rotate, you get this like weightless feeling that I've always said is the coolest feeling, but I just don't want to do it all the time. So it's similar.
It sucks.
At some point, it must just feel like it's lasting. Oh no, this is going a little too long. Like maybe you're over rotating, you might end up on the roof again or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I mean, in the smaller boats, it's usually better to land upside down because you don't go through all the rotations or the tumbles after. Just let it land nice and smooth and get out.
See, these are the things that keep me out of a boat. It's conversations like this.
It's all right.
I will say, out of the blowovers that I've seen, only one of them was upside down, and that was Corey Peabody. And watching him work his way out feet first does not make me want to get in one either.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for it to fill up. I'm coming out the top. I don't think I can get out the escape hatch too well.
Yeah, and you're on oxygen the whole time you're driving.
Well, it's ambient air while you're driving, and then as soon as you go upside down, it clicks to full-time air.
It does. Is there there's a possible manual switch just to make sure?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and that's the main thing in like an accident. You're always trying to make sure that the mask is there, because the helmets, the ones like some of the guys wearing unlimited, are built for the mask. But in our limited inboard, we're not allowed those anymore. So some of the helmets aren't built for a mask. It's just a standard Stilo open face helmet that you put the mask on. So there's wiggle room, and sometimes they come off. So you always in your mind just assume that there's going to be no air and just do your procedures from there.
The goal is to get out fast enough where you don't even have to take a breath. So.
That's Bob's goal.
Bobby usually gets out before the boat stops.
Yeah, he's unstrapping before it lands and everything.
That would be the goal, right? That would be the goal.
Generally I'm out of the boat and standing on it before rescue even gets to me, and that's what you're supposed to do.
It was an absolute pleasure getting in the Miss Wahoo and going for a ride there. And even though it's a 2-up situation, that one really just doesn't have a skid fin. So it was kind of fat. It was actually strangely a lot like an off-road truck driving. Okay. First, it's got a giant wheel, and The way it slides all the time. And then accelerating kind of puts traction or bite on the prop, and that's kind of like grip on the back tires.
Yeah.
So then it like kind of grabs the slide and won't let it over rotate. So if it slides quick, you have to be like quick on the throttle just to grab. It really was like an off-road truck on kind of a slippery track. And so that felt familiar and fun. I think even the boat that Jimmy Johnson drove was new enough that it did have a skid fin. Probably nothing like what is being run now, but because when I talked to him about the experience, they were totally different. He's actually driving around the corner and not necessarily just sliding and bucking around sideways.
Yep.
So it was interesting to see that, and then to see the speedo on the water. Like when you're on the water, it's different. It's not like we're doing over 130, and it didn't feel like 130 that I felt before, where it felt suicidal. Like when it's on top of the water and the water's smooth and you're kind of floating it was actually really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a feeling for how fast you're actually going. I mean, unless you're passing a bunch of buoys, because you have nothing out there to give you a perspective of the speed like you are in a car, say in the woods, like when you did rally.
Yes.
So it's hard to get that perspective unless you're racing. We have a race in Canada in Valleyfield, and we're racing 10 feet off the shore. And in a Grand Prix, if you're going down the straightaway and you look over at the grandstands, it's just the blur. Now, if you're in a big open course, it doesn't feel that fast because you just see buoys every once in a while.
Yeah, that's like an airplane, kind of like when you're just out there by yourself. Yep. You can't tell you're hauling ass until you get through the clouds. But yeah, that aspect of it is kind of crazy because the speed is there and you can't even tell. But then when you get relative to another boat and their wake, it's probably highly, you get highly sensitive to the speed. I mean, the whole concept of turning into those hallways is just ridiculous to me. I think that's kind of got to be the goal to avoid, right? Because even people so much experience, you see them turn in there, and there's such an obvious moment where it's just not worth it. Yeah. Because the water's skipping out. Even if they're not illegally close, the water skipping out from the inside boat is still smashing you hard enough that you can't see, or I don't know. I mean, how's the visual when you're in there?
You really can't see nothing because a lot of times like you said, the water's coming off that inside boat and it's on your windshield, and you just kind of hold a steady wheel and hopefully they're not coming out or the people's coming in. You get a vision here and there. But yeah, it's definitely, as we've gotten, at least I've gotten older, it's one of them like, I might lift this heat and we'll live to fight another heat if I'm back on the start or something like that. Cause it's definitely dangerous. You're putting yourself at harm's way there.
Yeah, and I guess you got to know the competitors to know, is this a group that I'm actually going to gain on if I get a clean exit out of this corner, or am I just going to be sitting here for the whole time?
Yep, exactly. Or they're just going to chop you, so you better back out.
Or sometimes you're like, wait, it's this guy on the inside or this guy on the outside, and you just back out. Say,
I'm screwed. Yeah, they're going to take out each other, and I'm going to be part of that.
A good clip on like kind of what that's like, Eddie Canfouche on Facebook posted. He had a near accident incident in Valleyfield where basically exactly that happened, and it's right off his helmet, kind of, driver's view.
Is it on YouTube? I'll try to pull it up.
I think it's on his Facebook, but I'd imagine it's on his YouTube too.
I mean, it's gnarly to see. I mean, even some of the footage that H1 puts out on their Facebook. I mean, Corey this year, I think there were several guys that had to back out of it. Corey did not, and then paid the price. But it's been fascinating for me this year to learn a little bit about the boats, a little about the actual racing, because in racing, there's always a box you live in. And of course, what I focused on was the unlimited. So just looking at N2 and how the fuel metering happens, how they measure, the N2 and the fuel metering, and how the teams, the challenges they have to try to maximize that. I mean, that's just the box. Who they hire and how much money they can throw at something to try to maximize it, and sometimes how futile that is. But it's that's just racing. It just doesn't matter what it is. But that's what I thought was super fascinating. And certain things are really open, like the aerodynamics and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to see the different boats trying different types of canards and gurney flaps and vortice inducers and everything. And by the end of the year, I would say that most boats kind of caught up to probably Tate had the cleanest looking boat in the beginning of the year, and I think both the strong boats were way better, especially Michael Kelly's was way better looking at the end of the year. So some of those adjustments definitely work. But anyway, I love diving into that side of it. It's really cool.
So is that what, when they came to you about being an announcer, did they hit you with a bunch of videos, explain the sport? Is that kind of what brought you to want to do it outside of your norm?
Zero.
No.
Zero. No, they said looking for a different perspective on a sport that's been around for a little while that the hardcore people know very much about. And I thought, well, this is a recipe for disaster. I'm totally in. It was, it's kind of like I used to date a girl who did baseball announcing. And when you speaking baseball terms,
hold up. She obviously didn't teach you anything about throwing a baseball, because you couldn't get me in that dunk tank in Madison.
Look, I didn't want to show up the 7-year-old that was standing there dunking you over and over again.
All right, continue on.
So, but the language, RBIs and this and that and everything, how many at bats, and everything has to be a certain language, or you instantly get discounted as somebody who's not worth listening to. For me, it's just about not trying to be an expert. I don't know anything about the sport. I know about racing, and that kind of stuff was very spot on. Like the things that I knew and could tell the racers are going through, when I talked to them and stuff, they reaffirmed that over and over again, so I could gain a little bit of confidence and understanding what was happening from inside. The teams were incredibly generous with taking me through the truck and showing me the little things they're trying and what they're due from heat, from qualifying to heat races and things, as just a general education. And that was amazing. And then I think the hope is over time, racing is more than just winning, right? It's also about sponsorship. It's about finding some home for distribution. And I have a lot of friends in the distribution world of motorsport. And one of those is the Racer Network. And I put, H1 together with that to try to do some deals there. I think there's some good sponsorship opportunities because it's a difficult genre for sponsors. For me, I've been racing for 30 years, but that means I've been selling sponsorship for 30 years. Yeah. And it's, you guys know that as well as anybody. So it's, I've had a lot of great relationships. I was with Rockstar for 18 years. I was with a wheel company for 23 years. I've cultivated a lot of good ones, but I've also had to turn them over and learn what people want. And without having boat manufacturers that this applies to, and without having, the wild world of sports to where you can go to a Nabisco or something, like something non-endemic, there are certain things that can really benefit. I think batteries are one of them. One of my sponsors, Optima, would be a great sponsor. Their parent company is a big company. And they have a great marine presence. They have a great marine product, but they need to be in the boats. So that means they have to, and they do have lithium batteries. So they would have to be able to meet or exceed the current performance of what is kind of in there now, which is a specialized motorsport battery that people seem to not like that much.
Yeah, they're super heavy.
Yeah. So there's opportunities there. Personally, I think if I was in this, I would be What do you guys think about turbines? Let me ask you that first.
First off, switch them to automotive power, but
right. Okay, so
what
that's
about
where
you
you're
guys?
at. Yes.
Yeah,
You
we
guys
could
can
do
respond
without.
too.
Yeah. I mean, it's old technology right now. It's old technology. You can't sell it. You can't get a sponsor for it because how many people are out there running turbines? I mean, no one. So we can't appeal to a certain crowd. I mean, you have your airplane enthusiasts and stuff like that, but at that point, it's just getting some fans that like the turbines, and that's it.
Yeah, you have to. The boats are enough of a departure from anything anybody drives that there's no plug and play sponsor besides like a battery, maybe a prop company, but they probably aren't going to run those props.
Yep.
You know, and then non-endemics, which are very hard. Non-endemics are really hard. It's so impressive that some of these teams have non-endemic sponsors. Yeah. Most of them, I'm sure, are tight relationships, with the team owners and stuff. But yeah, so if you went to an automotive engine of some sort, yes, but then you kind of take a step back in some other things like reliability. One thing about that turbine is that it is just no moving parts. The thing's just as simple as can be.
Yeah.
So the other very secret business that I'll say, just since it's just us talking here, no, I mean, I think there would be an amazing. I'm surprised people haven't put plug and play turbines in freaking pontoon boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because they're so reliable, they make so much power. They're not fuel efficient, make a lot of heat, but outboard turbines on pontoon boats doing $110 down the lake in Michigan.
That'd be wild.
Dude, they're already doing it sometimes. We got a small lake out here, and one of the guys, he's got like dual 250s on the back of this thing, and it's like this lake's not even a mile long.
Yes. No, yeah. It's imagine if those were 800s and they were turbines.
There's a couple of them too, and I know they all compete out there and share their lap times.
Yeah, but no, you're right. The way it sits, it is tough. It is tough sell, and so the distribution and that kind of marketing side of it, I just naturally am fascinated with, and I gravitate towards that. Also, in addition to the obvious stuff like the racing and the performance stuff and what it takes to get points, but yeah, I love the series. I think the people in the series are incredible. It's really a gated community that's been blocked away from all the nastiness of motorsport around the rest of the world. Everybody's so family friendly and incredibly genuine and respectful to each other. Maybe not on the track, but who is? But just in the pits, everybody is amazing. And so, if there's any sport that deserves a shake at it, I think that's it. Some ideas for making a sport grow and get a bigger demographic are going to ruffle feathers the wrong way, and some are going to fit perfectly with what everybody has in mind. But either way, it's not a bad time to shake it up and try some stuff.
I have to give you some credit because I think it was I heard that you were coming on board with H1, and I took a bet with myself. I'm like, there's no way he's sticking around until even the second race. He's going to be like, no. He's like, let me go do something more exciting with cars. So I lost a bet with myself, and you stuck it around throughout the whole year. So I was like,
dude, I stuck it around a race that didn't even happen. What are you talking about?
Don't get Bobby started on that black flag.
Oh man, dude, they showed a black flag for like 5 hours, just waving on the beach, and I'm sitting there watching a live stream, and I keep looking back at it. I'm like, they're eventually going to race. Nope, there's a black flag. Nope, there's a black flag.
Nope, Brad pops on. He's like, thanks for coming.
See ya.
That was it. Yeah. That was tough. I was like, man, I was wondering at that point too. I was like, wow, if a puff of wind does this.
Yeah.
But it's the venues and what you get into the season, you don't get out of the live stream. When you get, I mean, you guys know this, but for people who just watch the live stream, when you get into the season, you get into these communities, you realize that the boat racing is part of a festival weekend that can go back to the freaking 60s or 50s. It's like, it's something that generations have grown up taking their kids to. Like when I mentioned that I went to or I posted something about being at the Seattle race, oh man, all my friends who'd ever lived in Seattle chimed in and be like, oh man, when I was 4 years old, we used to go to that, and everybody chimed in. It's a huge community thing. It's also, the venues are tough. I know the venues are super tough to shut down, somebody's God-given right to use the water for 2 days. That's that's the tough part with rally too. You're shutting down somebody's driveway to their house in the woods, so I know that it can upset people. So you really have to be a positive influence on the community, which sometimes it only takes one person to shut it down. So the events aren't easy to do. They have a huge impact on the community. They're generational. The racing can be completely spectacular. It can also not happen sometimes. But there are enough classes that even if some races get blown out, that there's somebody out there on the track. Then the air shows combined with some of the races was epic. And yeah, no, I was definitely sticking around for the season. It was a very cool experience and something I needed to see, a different side of motorsport than what the Kool-Aid I've been drinking for so many years,
There you go. So are you coming back next year?
All right, there it is.
There it is. I haven't seen a calendar, but yeah, I'd totally be back.
That's cool.
And
awesome.
I'd like to come back with, again, it'll probably ruffle some feathers, or not, but I'd like to come back with some goal of packaging, TV show.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what we talk about that all the time here on the podcast, that we really need to get away from just showing the racing. Obviously the live stream's good for our fans and our core group, but we need to package all that stuff you talked about going in the trucks, learning what all these pieces do. I mean, obviously me being around Unlimited for the first time this year, it's like all this stuff is hidden gems. Like we had the boat on display without the cowling because we lost the cowling. That was a funny story, but everyone's like, oh my God, we've never seen the turbine before. And this was in Madison. That's been happening forever. So it's like, this is the part that we need to unbox and let people see. And the family aspect, I think if people start to see that, they'll fall in love with the sport versus just action on the water.
Yes. And Corey, who's running production, Chris over at Strong Racing, Daryl, who's, obviously gotten behind it all. They've really tried to unlock a lot of that this year. There are a lot of tech bits, little tech talks. There was a family story. You had Brent going out into the crowd, into the lines and picking families and giving them free tickets and people just bawled, they did some cool stuff. And some of it, when it's combined with a 6-hour straight stream, some of it gets washed down the river, So, and with the tech and the stuff that they have, you can do both. You can do the live stream that's up all weekend so people can get that, and you can do the TV show. You can package highlight reels together and stuff. So I'm fascinated to see where the content distribution goes and how it gets put in front of, a few more 100 million live home, living rooms, which is what needs to happen. And then also where some of the business aspect of that takes it. The product as it is good. It's and even that I know is a struggle hanging on to those venues and stuff. But then once you're able to get the business side, some bricks of foundation built under there, then you can make the product side even better. You can have a little more say on your venues and have more production capability, et cetera. But and bring in some different, you'll have hired guns, hired drivers. And that changes things when somebody's not having to ask for time off work to go do the race weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like we had that back in the heyday of the Miss Budweiser days, but we've kind of steered away from there. And I feel like we as a group, as Hydroplane Racing, didn't keep up with the times. As we transitioned away from being on ESPN, we didn't step up to the plate as social media took off. And I think we're just playing catch up at this point. And I think it's coming. We see a resurgence through all of our series that we race in. Some are doing it better than others. But yeah, I think that's where we're benefiting. And I think that brings in a question for you, being in the motorsports, with a platform like Flow Racing that has all these motorsports eyeballs. Do you feel like that would be a platform for us, or we would be better to build it on our
own? How many people are on that?
I think they have over 500,000 subscribers. I mean, people pay.
And it's a subscriber based app?
Yeah, it's all subscriber based. And they do like all the dirt track racing, the small NASCAR races, stuff like that.
Are they a sponsor of yours?
No, not at all.
I've never been a fan of paywall stuff. Are you behind the paywall on it? Oh, it's free.
No, Flow Racing. I don't even subscribe to it, but
is it free for people?
No, I think it's like $200 a year. Like I only subscribe to it when the Chili Bowl's on. I watch Chili Bowl.
I did get asked to do that. That's one of the only other things besides driving this hydroplane that I backed out of was the Chili Bowl.
Well, they are crazy. They do flip a lot.
Yeah, I was like, Chili Bowl, that sounds awesome. Looked up one video. I was like, that's a hard pass, my friend. And it was when I was racing for Michael Andretti's team in that Rallycross, one of the techs was a wickedly fast freaking sprint car racer, and he had a star car basically. But anyway, I don't know if that's the next thing, because there are a couple platforms coming out. There's that are free that will be a center for all racing stuff also. To try to compete with YouTube. Sorry, it's getting dark in here. I'm going to turn my light on here in a second. I can't believe it's sunset so quick. But it's tough to say if behind the paywall is the way to go. I feel like the one nice thing about it is they have a community of people that are racer centric, and they might latch onto it and be like, that's cool. Or most of them are probably like you are actually, Brandon, where they say, I'm going to get it for this particular event.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then I'm pulling the plug, and that's probably what most of it. So you may not get a lot of trickle over fans. I feel like TV is still a way. The Racer Network is an obvious one because it's kind of like that, except for it's when you buy your Samsung TV, it's like already on there. It's kind of all plugged into these households. And so you get some, you kind of get what we used to get, which was just like a thumb flip over switch fan hook opportunity. But the guys, that do social media for the H1 side anyway, I think they do a great job. That carried through the rest of the series. I mean, they do a really good job with highlight. So many highlight videos and stuff like that. So that's obviously an important complement to whatever you do distribution wise.
Yeah. So that's another point. Like because hydroplanes are so unique, we have many views, many clips that'll go 1 million views. How do we transition that to a paying customer, someone that's buying merchandise or someone that's liking the page, whatever, that comes to a race? How do you take that virality and actually turn it into a fan?
That's tough. It's consistent posting. You can have in-post stickers that will can sell stuff, but it's probably more likely to try to get somebody to see a schedule of events or a schedule of airings. That would be the ideal thing.
To watch the show that you're talking about producing. I think that's the way to go for sure. We've talked about that a lot, about doing the cameos and stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of for more, There's a platform coming out that I'm trying to get to work with H1 that would essentially it would capture those viral moments, and it would have it's like YouTube, but only for cars. And it would have a room specifically just for hydroplane. And there'd be eventually a hydroplane community forums, things like that also, but also YouTube, videos and things like that uploaded there. And so it would drive people to that so that it gets them into the community to where they can see schedules. They can even ask questions on the cars. They can say, hey, how do I get started in this? Or what's the cheapest one I can buy that does 70 miles an hour or, whatever. And I think more and more of that stuff is going to pop up. Just got to keep on creating the bitchin' content and try to get some brand recognition for the word hydroplane.
Yeah.
Yep. We agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but it just has to be done.
Yeah. Let me turn my light on here. Sorry. My office, it's like. I got freaking golden retrievers, goats, and chickens running around down here, so I had to hide upstairs.
You got goats and chickens in your house?
Hopefully not. They're down in the garage driving the dogs crazy.
There you go.
But this is the room where where office work gets done. So I'm never in here, obviously.
There you go.
So yeah.
So transitioning a little bit off the media side and the tech side, you obviously in Seattle, I think it was Seattle, right? Or Tri-Cities, one of the two, wherever the Gold Cup was. You had to go through a horrendous deal with them naming the wrong person the winner. First off, what'd you feel about that? And then second off, on the tech side of things, to me, H1 should get rid of the fuel flow and the N2, because we should never have to announce that they have to go to the tech truck. Obviously, all sports, we go to the tech truck. What's your feelings on that from an outsider's point of view?
Well, I guess being honest, since I'm still far away enough away that my opinion doesn't really matter that much. It was horrible. It was awful. Yeah. I felt so bad for Jamie, and it was like, and of course you're sitting there. It's like you're watching a movie, a horror movie, where you're just watching this girl in the living room and the guy's like climbing in the window behind her, kind of a thing, and you're like, run.
Yep.
And so it was tough. It was tough to watch from the outside, and I agree with you. And I've said it to Brad several times that it's a weak link, and Brad is in it, heart, everything. He's been living this sport most of his life. He's just absolutely in it. And so for him, it's just a part of it. And sometimes when you're really close to something, you don't. What was that? There's a terrible analogy I may share later. But when you're close to something, sometimes, you don't necessarily see what's great or not great sometimes, because, it's just how it is. And you're so close to it and doing it for so long. But that, I agree, the whole waiting for the tech inspection for results thing is super tough. I mean, pulling results and making announcements later, I think, is bad enough, but that's probably a lesser distraction than it would be just to award the winner that crossed first. Freaking hugs and high fives, and congrats, all the hard work paid off, and celebrate. And then if there's an announcement later, then there's an announcement later. And the points, and you put emphasis on the championship. The cup and all those are important, and I know they're very important for the communities too that they're built up. But some more emphasis on the championship, so that when you do pull something from somebody for a tech reason, inevitably it costs them in the championship, and that's the penalties.
Agree.
It's not that they got all the glory for their sponsors on camera, and so who cares if you take it away later?
Yeah.
There's got to be a big punishment. I mean, obviously, all the other well-known sports do that. Formula One, NASCAR, all that. If you fail later, like they make the announcement on Monday, hey, so and so was failed, but they don't really lose the win, but they lose the points, kind of deal.
Exactly, and you're not seeing them run with the trophy to the guy's hotel room. Right. And saying, here, you do like the celebration there. The celebration was done. The champagne bottles are empty. It's that the points are going to go this way, and that's a big announcement. And maybe there's probation or whatever for if you, do that. So if you do it 2 events in a row, there's a bigger penalty. I don't know. But Look, I mean, Brad's involved in the rule writing part of it, and obviously, I'm not somebody who should be writing rules, but just from a show standpoint, I agree with you completely that holding everybody on air for 20 minutes after the finish, for somebody to plug in their computer and boot up Windows 10, just
Wait, that I'm sure it's like Windows 2.
Yeah.
they're behind times a little bit.
Would be like yeah, it is a bit extreme. You're right.
Yeah, and that's where we've talked. We don't know enough about the unlimited world and the turbines and the N2 and fuel flow, but like, why not restrict something that's easier to restrict to bring that parity if that's what that's there for, and let that be truly unlimited. Find a way to balance it out to where you don't have to use the computer to tech them out for that kind of thing, whether it's limiting propeller size. You can only have X pitch to this pitch. Well, before the boat goes out for the final, you look at what they have, or gear ratios, stuff like that, that limits them mechanically, that you don't have to look into a computer.
That would be a good bigger solution. I think it's tough because turbines, they're so reliable that you could limit props, you could limit all the hardware stuff, and they'll just fucking crank those turbines up and run twice the RPM, and eventually you'll start getting them blowing up into neighborhoods,
Yeah.
And I've heard stories of people finding fan blades in their kitchen, in Seattle and stuff, where there's houses near the venue. So it's
crazy.
Yeah. So there's I think these things motivate you to not necessarily overspin the turbine. And it focuses your money on making it more efficient because it's not certified helicopter engine anymore. You can do whatever you want. So it's not more efficient at this fuel flow and this RPM, get more compression out of those blades. And they've got the designers of the original turbine helicopter used in the Chinooks from the 50s back there working on these projects to do this. So they're working hard on it, but it could be, even if the first step towards what you're saying is just celebrate the results the way they cross the line, and then, move to penalties.
That's a simple way to do it.
Yeah.
You keep bringing up Brad Luce. He's going to start sending us hate mail because we've had Brent Hall on. We've had you on now.
What?
He's probably he hasn't been on here yet.
Well, you need to get Brad on then.
We were going to send him an invite, but he was on some fishing trip, so.
That sounds like he's washing his hair. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't want to be on your show. I don't know.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he don't like us. All right, so we touched on the tech stuff and the racing. So the other big subject in our sport, to have an outsider's point of view, is the fighting for lanes. Obviously, in Grand Prix, we run assigned lanes. It's a pretty simple format. Usually the fast boat's on the outside, the third heat, and then the final is on performance. Obviously, the Unlimiteds have a little bit different. Do you like the fighting for lanes as a fan once you understood it, or would you rather it be a little more simple thing, palatable for fans?
It's tough for fans. I'm not going to lie. I like it now that I understand it. But let's just be devil's advocate and say that you qualified for your lane. And then the first place qualifier chose outside or inside, and everybody had to stack off of them. I'm not sure the fastest guys would like that. I feel like sometimes the fastest guys would rather be lane 2 or 3 and maybe not get squeezed to the outside or get squeezed to the inside. So I don't know. The whole year, I guess I've been gaining a little perspective on how they choose to gear and what prop they choose to use. Once qualifying's done, qualifying seems like a totally different beast, whatever. I mean, they have the whole track. They can just do whatever they want. But J. Mucko Kelly always seems to want to kind of be inside 1 or 2, always sort of has the gearing down for that. I haven't driven them, so I don't have a feel for the turbines, but it does feel weird how they kind of spool up and build power. So if you get that gearing wrong, it seems like it's a big problem.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, And then it always seems like Vilwalk is a little more excited about getting on the outside and letting it run and using some track out skills and
Yeah.
carries.
Generally, so before this year, he was strictly outside every heat. This is the first year that he started diving on the inside once in a while, so I was a little surprised by him doing that.
I doubt he's going to do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It didn't work out this year.
Couple times bad. I'm not in there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing to mix up though. For what you said, like for the sake of the fans.
Yeah.
The question is, I mean, that's a question in cars. And Rallycross, it was all the same thing too, because you qualify first, but everybody knows there's a puddle always on the inside. So it's like I qualified first so that I could get the slowest start. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, so like with boats, it's like you qualify first. If you could get the choice of inside or outside, that's one thing. You add a little element of confusion. But now you're sort of delegated to the extremes. Oh, you know what they used to do in European Rallycross is you qualified when you rolled up. So this would be on the dock. You would choose this. There would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you would choose which one you wanted.
Okay.
So you could choose any starting position you wanted, but your choice was in order of qualifying.
Okay.
So that might be simpler.
Yeah, that could work.
You'd find a lot of teammates working together because if you qualified first and your teammate qualified second, then you could block out the first two inside lanes or something like that.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting aspect because you see that in F1 all the time. Those guys fight hard for first row lockouts because you can sacrifice the second driver and McLaren and with Piastri and Lando have done that numerous times this year. I mean, that used to be Bottas's job for Mercedes was qualify second so Lewis can go away.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not working out the same for Yuki.
No.
Poor guy.
Poor little Yuki. Hopefully he finds a ride next year.
Yeah, but that could be interesting actually, because that would actually make qualifying worth some.
That's our main thing is like right now it's not worth anything except for points. Like you said, the championship's important. For GP, like our time trial sets the first heat, and then the next heat it's a flip. So we go from being lane 1, but the next heat is lane 5 or whatever the outside is. And then the third heat is based on points. So if you go into that third heat and you're top in the points, you're on the outside again. So it's basically making the fastest boat have to work harder. In our series, the Hydroplane Racing League up in Canada with the 350s and then the 2.5s, like the boys run, it really makes the competition shine because you're putting the fast boat out on the outside where if they were a good driver, they're probably going to get the inside every heat if they're good at the fighting for lanes thing. So then they're going to win almost every heat. So it kind of gives more of a show to the fans too. But because Unlimiteds only have 4 or 5 boats or whatever we'll have this year, there has to be some type of mixture in that. And like you're saying, where you could pick, and then maybe it goes into the flip-flops.
The question then, though, is qualifying. Are there some boats that have never qualified well? Because you could almost pick the qualifying order pretty consistently this year.
Yep.
Yeah, J. Michael Kelly, I don't think
he's never been number 1 qualifier. I heard that 50 million
that's
times.
why he
crazy stat.
Fought so hard to just have a shorter track than everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah, so then you sort of take away that opportunity for those boats that just carry a lot of drag or something. Who knows?
Yeah, that's always been the argument, especially in the H1 ranks, is like if you do assign lanes, it doesn't give Jamie a chance, but it really does, because probably the way it's going to work out is in heat 2, he's going to have lane 1, and probably how the points shake out, he's going to be in lane 1 or 2 for heat 3. So he's actually going to have a shot. He's just given the shot instead of having to fight for it.
Could be interesting, I think.
Could be.
I would be curious to at least see him try it, even just one weekend. And Unlimited has worked so well in the HRL series, and the different boats, different engines. We have more boats running in those classes, but it has been so successful for the show there that I would love to see it tried in H1 just just once. Just if it fails miserably and the drivers don't like it and the show doesn't work, I think I loved your point. I think we're in a place where the sport's in a place where we may have to ruffle some feathers in order to make progress.
Yeah, well, let's get Brad on here.
Yeah.
Get in his ear. You should make this a drinking game though. And yeah,
we can do that.
and then start talking to him about it.
That's all we do on this podcast is ruffle feathers, so we're totally up for it.
Perfect.
We got
great. Maybe I won't be back next year.
Most of my inspiration for this was from Denny Hamlin, and that's all he does.
Yeah.
I did pull up that video of that we were talking about earlier, that tunnel video. Pull that up.
Oh, of Eddie. So this is a 2.5 stock. This is the same class that Kyle and Austin run. It's a Honda K20 motor. Used to be a Ford 2300 Lima motor from the 80s, and they finally are upgrading.
They'll go through the first.
See out of that? He's got to wash his windshield.
This is the first turn, so everything happens in the second turn.
There is a boat on his inside.
Yep, there it is.
So we can start you in this size boat if you would like. We have one of these as well. It's 100. Would y'all hit 106? So
106.
We can work you up to the unlimited.
That sounds good. Actually,
this is where the tunnel gets a little.
Oh my gosh! A lot of contact.
Yeah. The smaller classes, you would see that they have more aggression. I mean, so there's 2 levels in the Hydroplane Racing League of this class of boat, the 2.5s, where the boys were racing this year. It's more of the rookies are getting their feeling, and then you bump up to what's called Formula 2500, and the intensity just picks up. You're now inches apart. There's no room given. If you don't nail your start, you better back out because you're probably not going to have a lane.
Wow.
It's intense in the lower levels of racing there.
Yeah, it gets gnarly quick, it seems like. There was somebody who tried to get me into a skiff.
Yeah.
Jersey speed skiff. There you go.
Yep, probably Jimmy.
And I was like,
I figured with your rally background, you might be about it. You got a co-pilot and.
Yeah. He's like, oh no, they're fun. I was like, well, what's the roll cage for? It's like, oh, they're safe. And then I realized it's because the boats are jumping on top of each other. And so I go down to the dock just to sort of check them out. I'm a pretty calculated guy. I got to see what I'm up for. And like 3 boats pull up, 3 wives, hands and knees, coming off the end of the boat, crawls right onto the dock, flip the bird to the husband, and gone. Like, it's not marriage counseling that goes on in those boats.
That had to have been Jimmy and Peg, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but it was like no love lost in that.
It's funny because in our skiff class, there's a family, the Stewarts and Awancios, and I think they run 4, maybe 5 of them, and they're often battling each other a lot. Their championship in HRL out of the whole season came down to the final at the 6th race of the year, going into it with a 1-point difference.
That's awesome.
And it's cool to see like you mentioned the sport is a big community, big family. And then even within it, you actually have the family rivalries at times. Bob and Brandon have had theirs over time.
Plenty of
Austin
times.
and I drive the same boat, so we haven't gotten there
yet. Yeah, no, it's an awesome part about it. It's more similar to off-road racing than any other kind of racing. Or in off-road racing, I mean, they even camp at the racetrack generally. It's all RVs set up. Yep. Kids are growing up around it. I mean, I grew up when I was teammates with Brian Deegan. Haley Deegan was cruising around on a little buggy, and the other kids are ripping around on little pedal bikes. And Deegan started racing, or Haley started racing these trophy carts. And it's just a family thing, but she's racing against these other kids, and now they both went out and raced NASCAR together, and they just sort of grow up in it and get racing in deep. But have there been racers from Hydroplane that have gotten onto the car side?
Only one I can think of is Bob Bodie, and he just won drag car.
Okay.
And then the Sharps,
you do have
Eddie Sharp used to own a truck team. He raced back in the 80s and hydroplanes.
Did Tristan Mayhew ever drive hydroplanes?
No, he's never drove a boat.
Never did hydro. His dad did.
Dang, am I the closest one? I raced SCCA for a while and road course
You
racing.
probably are the closest, honestly.
I might be the closest.
There's not too much crossover, is there?
No. But the only thing that helped me is I was really good in the rain. That was the equalizer, because I don't know. I don't think driving a boat did anything except for I was fearless.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no driving in the rain. Where are you from?
I'm from Delaware, but I raced. I did like Sebring, Indy, VIR, Road America, Road Atlanta, all those cool tracks.
Okay, so it was SCCA Pro, SCCA Club.
We just did just a club race, and I did a Formula Enterprise. It was an open wheel, and then we transitioned into a spec racer Ford.
I did the spec racer Ford. That was the first car that I ever drove.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I flew. I was working for an inventor in college, and he invented amusement rides, and it was in Florida, and I was flying back to Denver. Flew over this track, Second Creek Raceway, landing at DIA in Denver, and I drove my car out there. The guy who came and kicked me off the standing too close to the track, I got a job as a mechanic on spec racer Fords.
Sweet.
And Formula Mazdas, and I worked for 8 months to get enough time saved up to do one race. Well, get my license and do one race in a spec Ford. And I ended up doing, I think, 3 seasons.
Nice.
Yeah. They're great trainers.
You'd probably love them now. They have a little bit more power with the upgraded motor, and because the spec racer you probably ran was very momentum based, low horsepower motor, and then now they have it's a little higher horsepower, so it's more of a race car, but you still have that spec compatible, and you have to hustle them.
We had 98 horsepower. It was a 1.9 liter Pinto motor, I think they said.
Yep. Now we actually, when SCCA transitioned to the new motor, we took those motors out of the spec racer Fords and put them in the 1.5 stocks that the kids are racing out west.
No
so
offense
a lot
taken.
of those have the spec racers. But hey, it was cheap motors. People are like, just take them. We'll throw them away. I'm like, well, we've never had anything fuel injected, so let's put these in them.
They were sealed motors, and if one dude had like an extra 300 horsepower or extra 3 horsepower, everybody knew it, because you could tell. I mean, you were so close all the time that if you had an extra 2-3 horsepower, everybody knew it. And then all those freaking doctors would be out there offering that kid money.
Yep.
For his motor.
That was kind of what we've talked about on this podcast a lot for our limited hydroplane racing, is like, how does SCCA have all those doctors, dentists, all these lawyers, people that just arrive and drive, they have fun, or they have their kids in it. But like, how does our sport get that? Because they sold over 900 of those spec racer Fords, and that's just one class in SCCA.
That's amazing.
So if we can figure that out, we've talked about like rental boat programs to do arrive and drives for boat racing and stuff like that, but got to figure out how to get not make the sport cheaper, but get people with money to actually spend it.
I think a rental program will work, where someone who doesn't want to work on the boat for hours at a time and get it to the race, they just want to fly in, drive up to the race, get in the boat and race, and then after they're done, just leave. Pay and play. I
think that is an awesome idea, and there needs to be more education on the safety of it. Yeah. People just have this preconceived notion that any racing on the water is what they drag racing boats that they watched one time. Yeah. Where people are flipping over at 200 miles an hour on the water, and
right.
Yeah. So that there needs an arrive and drive program combined with some safety stuff, and you got to get some sweet photos to hang on your cubicle or in your office, so that the people in the office ask you about it. Yep. That's what makes kind of the grassroots world go around in a lot of ways. It's not, sometimes there's some ego involved. Yeah. So
for sure.
Yep.
Got to scratch that itch.
We did.
But an arrive and drive program would be amazing.
We got to get working on that.
Yeah. We got a couple comments. So Tom
with
D
little turbines,
retired because of a car accident from car racing. And then we had Wild Bill and David Salt, Walther, raced in the 500, the Indy 500.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I know.
And
That
then
was way before my time. Ain't no way.
yeah,
Was
I
gonna
think
know that.
probably the most prevalent one right now is
Wild Bill Cantrell. You can't leave out the last name.
Yeah, that's what the
Wild
Madison
Bill
course is
Cantrell.
named after.
Yeah.
I think everybody got the point.
So on
But
that,
yeah, and then Cannon Cushing right now.
Oh yeah,
He's doing
I forgot he's doing the Circle
car
Track
racing out there.
Legends. There you go. So on that, for the H1 races you've been to, do you have a favorite? Can you pinpoint one that you really liked?
Was it Madison that had the 2 different radius corners?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, they do, and I think
they-
Tri-Cities wound up having it because of something in the water they had to turn. But Madison's the river course, the rough course. So
Yeah, I didn't like the rough. Maybe it was Tri-Cities, but I like the different radius.
Yeah.
Yeah, we preach that all the time too.
I thought that was a cool challenge for those guys wanting to sneak around the outside of everybody. I mean, they had to really run a fine line in order to get that done on the tight corner. I did like how San Diego, how the water stayed nice. I mean, you never had a freaking roller in the course at all. It seemed like on the H1 side anyway.
Yep.
The saltwater aspect sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole wind blowing through the middle, I mean, that's kind of something you can talk about it 10 times every single broadcast, but I'm sure it's terrifying sometimes to some of the drivers.
Yeah.
Saw J. Mike and Andrew almost bited in that final.
Yep.
Yeah. Produced a great race. That was so awesome.
Yeah. Best one of the year. Best one in the last couple of years, honestly.
Really? Yeah, that was really good. But just the fact that you're like, I mean, because that's the problem with the drones and everything you see on those river courses. You just see those white caps just building lap after lap and sitting there. And from it, you watch the in car or the in boat on board, and they can't, you guys can't see any of that stuff until you're,
there.
It's a fifth of a corner away, and then you're just committed anyway. So what?
Yeah.
Why even bother looking at it? And so it's like, I don't know. I like the fact that you could race super hard every single lap, knowing you weren't going to send yourself into rollers. That's
That's true. As a driver, I like it when it gets rougher. I feel like then the attitude of the boat comes into play. You got to really fly it over the rollers. You got to kind of look further ahead than just right in front of you to try to read the water conditions. So it's all to each their own.
Fair enough. And it seems like the GP boats recover better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they
and we can back out of the throttle more, and you can kind of control the boat a little bit better.
It seems like when the unlimited boats skip out, something bad's going to happen almost no matter what.
It was every time this year.
Much.
That's for sure.
Pretty much. Any skip in a turn, they were gone.
Yeah. But and for you, so you like the different radius?
But yeah, we love it. We preach on here all the time for all facets of hydroplane racing that a big first turn and a tight second turn. That way you get through the first turn when everyone's lined up together coming from the start. It's a better turn to get through there clean, and then you roll down into a second turn that's really tight. I think even Tri-Cities could be even tighter just to make everyone kind of bind it up, and then you give that outside boat a little bit better shot to actually make up ground.
It's for better racing. It just keeps the boats a little closer. When you have 2 huge turns, it generally caters to the inside boat to just walk away with it. So, if you have that teardrop course, it probably you could have more of those 2 boat battles, maybe 3 boat battles.
That's why Detroit produced some of the best racing all time.
Yeah.
I'd say consistently produced the best racing over the H1's history. I mean, not to take plus the fact that the straightaways are a friggin' mile and a half long each.
Right.
I mean, they're massive.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we get to go back. I don't know if it's this year, but hopefully we get to go back there. That would be super cool.
They're talking about it's going to be this 2026, so hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll see.
So I was pulling up
Brandon,
our
I was
racing.
wondering what you were doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up Valleyfield because this is one race outside the H1 that you should probably put on your list to see hydroplane racing as a whole. Obviously, Grand Prix is the top class there, but they have everything.
You have to experience. I mean, you've seen all the unlimited races, and if you want to see a race that is like unlimited, but on a smaller scale, I guess not a smaller scale, but
and it give you an idea of the size of the course and how you have the bank on each side. They're all houses along the back stretch, and then the whole front stretch is grandstands.
You're so close to the bank there.
Yeah. We can only fit 5 wide in a final for Grand Prix, and it's tight. There's no room
in our class that they'll roll 5. 8 wide in that final. It gets a little tight for that outside guy.
Ow.
And then this is the tightest corner we race on in GPs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, see how it recovered from skipping out of that? So nice.
Yeah, unlimited wouldn't. You know, Dave Vilwalk did run an unlimited on this course, and he lost the skid fin and hit the shore.
That's horrible.
Yeah. You could have said that was a one. They had like a one-on-one battles, like one started on one straight away. Yeah. You didn't have to go right into the crash part of it, Bob.
Yeah, that's true. But they did.
So by losing the skid fin, you mean it literally ripped off the boat?
It ripped off completely because he carried so much momentum going in there. It couldn't hold it.
You know, those things are rated for 60,000 pounds, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
they
like
beefed them up.
Almost 10 G's you got to pull laterally to rip those things off.
Yeah, he definitely ripped it off. It was crazy.
Probably the worst case of that was J-Dub in Detroit.
In Detroit, yeah.
I could pull that one up. Have you ever seen that one, Tanner?
No.
You haven't seen this? That's crazy.
This.
I figured they'd be like, oh, here's H1 and show you all the crazy stuff that's happened in the past.
No. I showed up and they're like, okay,
just send you to the wolves.
This is the front of the boat, and this is the back of the boat. Yeah, no, it's baptism by fire.
That's crazy. I thought they'd give you a little rundown of everything and then show you some.
I just asked questions, and it was mostly race format and stuff, and it was like, man, and the strong guys, they took me in there, they showed me how they measure fuel, and so I got a gist of what the whole racing thing was all about from a technical standpoint pretty quick. But it's I mean, the history's deep, so you can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and not really pull up all the videos, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
So this really probably could have turned out a lot worse, but I'd say not in terms of result, but in terms of the scenario of the accident, this was like worst case scenario hydroplane racing.
And this would be Scott Rainey's boat.
Yes.
Okay. Who's driving?
A guy named J.W. Myers. Hasn't raced for a few years.
But this is the same boat I believe they were racing this year.
Jesus.
I could be wrong.
So he's out of the throttle right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he lost the skid fin there.
And so right here, hold on one sec. He saved a lot of people on this one. Right there, he steered. This is the pits over here.
Jesus.
With docks and people, and he made a business decision and said seawall instead of the pits.
He was all right after that?
Yeah, I think my understanding was broken leg, really sore, but nothing super, nothing life threatening.
Yeah, he raced again. He still
he's
builds a bunch of outboards and still helps out their team, I believe. He was partners in that boat back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't show all that stuff to the arrive and drive guys.
No. Yeah, no. That, like we said, just don't show the bad ones, right?
Yeah, and you can put it and the spec class is great, and because it's already established with the different speed limiters and stuff.
Yep.
So
that's what some of our commenters on Facebook said. They said, "You guys trying to get Tanner to drive and then show him all the bad accidents." I do have my skiff accident pulled up because I was going to tell you if you ride with anybody, skiff, don't ride with me.
Yeah, let's see that.
Nick Kish,
because that skiff thing's never happening. Trust me.
Yeah.
Nick,
Hey, I'm with you. I won't
I
ride
gotta
one.
find it again.
Not
Nick Kish said
X'd out
Nick
of it,
Kish
but
said
yeah.
that was the T4 of Rain, and that's Rainey's backup boat now.
So that was the one they were running not prior to last year, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He also said that he thought your favorite course was going to be Madison since there was an air conditioned hotel room off of turn 2.
That was nice.
I love that hotel there. That
And the fireworks. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's probably, you know, at least in the States, Valleyfield's the, you know, from the inboard categories, the limited classes, the mecca. But I'd say just in terms of overall event and consistency, obviously the Gold Cup moves around, and you know those events will be spectacular when they have them. But Madison year in year out is like that every year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
that's
you
cool.
have the parade, and the parade's really cool because you get to engage with the fans and see all the kids that are excited.
Yeah, kids. I mean, 3,000 kids. They can't all live within like 3 hours of that place.
Yeah.
So this was fighting for lanes. We don't establish our lane till the exit, so we're kind of racing just like H1 does. And you're not supposed to lift in these boats, but I did. And then you essentially lose control if you're not under power. They don't steer.
They're like jet skis,
And they never wind up upside down.
unless Brandon.
Sometimes.
Oh shit!
Wound up upside down that day. So, and then
They're supposed to be self-correcting, but it didn't self-correct itself.
Yeah, check please.
see, but this rider is my buddy, and I had also stuffed a skiff and sunk it all the way to the bottom of the Niagara River. Another accident that doesn't happen often, but he got back in the new boat with me. We said, "Oh, that'll never happen again." And yeah, I'll stick to hydros from
Brandon's
now on out.
done with skiffs. Brandon's not
done
getting
with
in
skiffs.
a skiff again.
When my wife rode, when my wife rode with me, we were safe. Never hurt her.
I'm telling you, that roll cage. First of all, I mean, how fast were you going when you went over?
That was about
That
probably
right there.
70.
70. That roll cage just grabs that thing.
Yeah.
And your head also, I guess.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the water
Did you even
pressure
have
is ridiculous.
things behind your head?
The seat was just a little bit behind the head, but you don't wear it
So
in
did
those
it
boats.
just lift your helmet? Try to lift your helmet right off your
tried
head?
to bucket it. And yeah, you don't wear neck restraints in those because you're constantly looking around. People like the vision, and yeah, and you're not on oxygen in those. So
No.
you gotta get out. There's no choice.
How was swimming with a suit and helmet on?
It's hard. Yeah, that the first one I didn't feel like was so bad. And we don't wear the life jacket. We have flotation in our suit. First one wasn't so bad. This one I was like, I think today's the day I drown because I'm tired of swimming and I can't keep up.
And you didn't have a flotation?
We just have so you can put flotation inside your driving suit versus wearing like a huge life jacket. Like, so that's what I wear in all the hydros so I can get my
It just
belts
wasn't
tighter
that much though.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to keep me buoyant when everything was soaking wet.
Yeah, some people, particularly in the hydros, don't want to have too much flotation, be it that you do have to kind of swim down to get out of that cell if you go upside down, and too much can hurt your case.
That helmet would have been at the bottom of the river.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting out in one way or another. There's survival instincts.
You got to thrash. You just thrash.
I kicked my rider on the way out. I had to get a little push off so I can get out.
Yeah.
Hey, Mason Russell, he's in shape. He'll be all right.
Make sure you turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for showing me that video. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Gives me some ammunition when.
So now we just got to get
someone
you
asks you
a GP or unlimited or something.
Or if you want to start in the 2.5. So you have an offer here from our team. Well, our owner, we can tell him what's going on. Either a 2.5 to start with or the GP. We'll find a place. You just got to get your dunk test.
Do you go down to Havasu for the what is it, Desert Storm or something in April?
No, we don't. We have one of our GP owners has been talking about doing the big one there. Like, why not try to run through the traps when there's a ton of eyeballs on? I forget. I can't even think of what it's called right now. Off the top of my head, it just happened like a month ago.
You're talking about the Ozarks?
Yeah.
Yeah, the shootout at the
Ozarks.
There's one in Havasu, and I think a couple of hydroplanes were going to come.
Okay.
And then, so there may be an opportunity early one of those mornings, and they're going to have a thing to cockpit certify.
Okay,
There you
come
go.
test.
So you're telling us you're set.
Well, could be.
There's
There's a couple of my buddies that are like big influencers that are super interested in that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So I'm trying to get them in, but a byproduct of that may be that I get to jump in. It's I hear it gets really windy there, but it would be hopefully a protected area where they actually build a course and have safety and everything.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Very
We did
cool.
race the Grand Prix race there probably 6-7 years ago when Dean Rojas was involved. So
Yeah, we got Havasu on our simulator game. Actually, it's one of the
nice.
one of the courses on there. Has
Yeah,
anybody
somebody said
gotten you to play
2013
that yet?
racing.
No,
Do you have a wheel and stuff? Like a sim wheel?
I just literally threw it away.
Oh.
Genuinely. I had
Hey,
one.
wait!
That was
I did
mediocre.
see you're newly married at a year, and now you're throwing away your sim ring. Oh, come
Luckily,
on, man!
my wife's not like that. No, it was at an old house that I'm renting. Except the renter that was in there wanted it. Ended up things didn't really come out of the situation great, so it was more a cut bait on that one and get another one. So yeah, I'd like to get something proper.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Well, when you do
Up here, but yeah, when I get it, okay, I'll
talk
get this
to Brad Luce or Nick Kish or even Rishon
Okay.
on us. We'll get you. It's free. It's right on. Just Google it and
Is it on
download.
What's it? Is it on a specific physics platform like iRacing or something, or is it
Nope.
standalone?
No,
Standalone.
Standalone.
Yeah,
Nice.
a guy named Scott
Awesome.
Przybylski, I believe. Is he from out west or is he from?
He's
over
from
here?
out. I'm not. I have no clue.
I'm not
I
sure.
think
he's
He's
from
he
Seattle,
is
sorry.
from Seattle. He has spent an ungodly amount of time developing
Just
that
doing
game
it for fun.
and tweaking it, and it's really cool. That's where me and Austin started. I don't think it was around when you guys got into it, but
No,
it was
we
a
just
good.
had to learn, bud. Maybe that's why you guys are afraid to fly the boat because of the
I don't
hydro
want to hear
sim.
it. I'm surprised you didn't ask him where they got that throttle lock for the loop.
Man,
Yeah,
you
no,
think,
that's
gonna be in the boat
I
next
was
year.
gonna privately message him, be like, "Hey, I need that throttle lock."
you think with hydro sim practice and starts, you'd be able to hit a start too.
Yeah, dude. See, they don't work that consistent, man.
Oh.
That's all we do on here. We just make fun of each other. So
Yeah, no, that sounds familiar.
But guys, I think we've kept Tanner long enough. Do you guys have any last minute questions to wrap things up?
Oh, heard everything.
General, just super basic question. What is like your coolest motorsports experience that you've had? You've obviously had a pretty diverse motorsports background.
I mean, just making the leap to when I realized I was getting paid to drive. Right. That was probably it. I mean, what comes to mind, easy ones are like X Games or like first X Games Gold was a big deal. And because X Games back then was freaking huge. Mm-hmm. Some of the stunts or, working with A-listers and stuff like that always seems like a highlight. But honestly, just going from being not a great student, finally getting out of school and making the weird decision, which was I don't have entrepreneurial parents. They're, pretty traditional jobs. And making the leap to doing your passion for work and then actually making money at it to where I didn't need to borrow money from my folks. That was a big deal. So, and I'm thankful for that every freaking day. And it's, and honestly, I'm live my life a little bit, I wouldn't say in fear, but I've lived my life knowing that easy come, easy go. So you got to freaking overachieve, over deliver, diversify, which is one of the reasons I wanted to learn about boats, not just to drive, just to understand the business of it. You got to be hungry if you want to, keep getting paid to do fun stuff, because there's a lot of other people that do kind of not fun stuff for work that would love to have your job.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think you could have wrapped this episode up better if I asked you to. So good job with that. But yeah, man, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. excited that you are looking forward to maybe working again with H1 and coming out of the races next year. And hopefully you keep enjoying the sport, and we're look forward to your perspective of getting it to the next level. So thank you.
Thank you guys for the time. Appreciate it. Good talking to you all.
Appreciate it. Yep,
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, fellas. See you.
Have a good one. So there we go.
That was cool.
Thank you guys for the time. Appreciate it.
We
Go ahead,
we had
Austin.
to know that one was going to be long.
How bad is this echo?
It's pretty bad.
Okay,
I didn't notice it that much.
It makes no difference. I don't talk anyway, so.
Yours
Right,
was,
exactly.
it was your echo?
Yeah, his headphones died.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I like to see his perspective on things. That made it pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's cool that he's been in so many different sports that he feels like hydroplane racing, like we've been saying on this platform for 65 episodes now, that like we're just a couple moments away, a couple right key pieces, and just keep building that brand up and getting it out there.
I think he learning more about him, his background, the different things he's done. He is a uniquely positioned person to help this sport.
Yes,
as you know, not just from the business side. Obviously, he has he did all the driving, multiple different disciplines, but building a series, even investing his own money and building something from the ground up, getting to work with guys like Travis Pastrana, Deegan, just names that it doesn't take. I don't follow motocross, but I know all those guys. And I think the connection side, and then the experiences and trying to build things, seeing how different sports work, like he said about the move from rally racing to rallycross, that was kind of an American oriented change. That's how Americans preferred to watch. The Europeans might get a little bit, and that's why it's always F1's always you kind of see one car after the race starts going, but they like that. Americans maybe not so much. They want to see the constant bump in, the constant side by side, and that's why NASCAR.
Yeah, they want that
excelled.
like instant gratification.
Yeah.
Kind of mentality.
So I think he's a uniquely positioned person to help the sport, and I'm glad he there's two things he said that I love as an outsider to see it, because we talk about it all the time, the family aspect of it, and then the passion that everybody has for it, because I think I've always thought those are our two biggest selling points. Obviously it's cool to watch, but how do you make it from just a cool spectacle to something that people actually engage with?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I hope the powers to be, and I hope he kind of mentioned it on here that like he's not really in that position to give advice, but he really is. He is our core subject. Somebody new, fresh face, been through a lot of things. Even him talking, like it wasn't like he's against turbines, but maybe automotive just opens you up to more sponsorship. He hit the nail on the head. You got batteries and maybe propellers. Like, what else do you have that you can actually put in that thing that we don't have, where like Rallycross and all these other things he did, they have manufacturer backing, and offshores, they're doing really well because they have Mercury Racing. Well, we don't have Mercury Racing in onboard hydroplane, so we got to figure out where that's at and how we can get that in there. But somebody's just got to try it.
With someone being in his position that's been involved in a lot of different things, he's someone that you don't want to wait 3 or 4 years to get his opinion on things. You want it fresh when he came in. He's seen a season. Ask him now, how do we make changes to better this product, to make it more marketable and to make it bigger? Because a fresh opinion is better than one that could be altered over time from different influences and stuff within the sport.
Well, and I feel like it. Go ahead, keep going.
I think right now what are you guys laughing about?
Just keep going.
I think right now his opinion should be taken heavy.
Yeah.
And some changes. Look into making changes. Not just make changes, right off the bat, not even thinking about it. Just start thinking about, all right, well, that's a good point. How do we do that? And start building on it.
Right. Well, I think you hit on two good points, is how we package it. Like the live stream's great, but we need to package this in the like episodes that when you do get these viral clips, it points to a let's watch more. And like the in boat racing, the ones that's doing this really well is offshore. They have Scrapyard Media doing some stuff for them, and like they have that, like their reels then point to a whole episode on going to Sarasota or Clearwater.
Yeah, they almost have like a reality TV show.
It's a reality show.
Really,
yeah.
I've watched a couple. It's really cool.
And I think that's where our sport is. I mean, the live stream, you still need it, obviously, like we've talked about for the core fans and all that, but we need to invest heavily into that. And then the second thing was just how the tech inspections work. I think that's something that's really hurting this sport. I mean, I've said it, and I didn't really ask about the wording H1 Unlimited. Like, how do you say unlimited? And then you have tech inspection for 20 minutes. Like, but I think he's on the right track. Maybe we don't need to jump in the changing things, but just the winner's the winner. If they get thrown out for a technical violation,
I mean, this is
throw them out a day later.
This is a forever problem that's never been solved. Every other type of racing declares the winner based on the results on the track. And then the freaking FIA for F1, they'll come out with like an official internal document saying that it changed. And it makes a press release. Everybody has accepted that is the lesser of two evils. Cheating and whatever is just an inevitable aspect of motorsport and any kind of sport. I mean, that's why they drug test football players. I mean,
I don't know if you guys kind of heard it too, but he did bring up one point very, very briefly, but was the number of races something else we just massively talk about of like, you can't have 15, 20 races that are taking up the whole year and try to pitch that as something that one company or two big companies can get behind. Having that smaller 8-10 races in this area might be the better move.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He did brief on that, but yeah, you have 4 next year, 4 at this point, good races. Now you focus all your energy on building a story around those races. When you go to Madison, you gotta build that story coming into that town, how that town transforms from not too much, but then all of a sudden this huge festival and all that stuff. And then go from there. Like, we need to start opening up the tech side of things more. And any definitely hit on it that the live stream, they're doing a lot of this, but it's hidden in there. I mean, unless you're sitting there watching it for 8 hours, Bobby Couch Kennedy, you miss that stuff. And hell, Bobby misses it half the time too, because he's probably sleeping. Like, I didn't see the prop segment. I forgot to ask him about that. Somebody told me he was learning about the props and talking, and he cut his finger. I forgot to ask him about that. But yeah, all that stuff's in there. But H1's starting to put that out as reels and stuff here recently. But I also feel like they missed the boat on that. Why put it out at the end of the season when you don't have something somebody could go watch? All that stuff should have been coming out.
I was on a couch watching boat racing.
Dang right. A little purple couch.
At the boat race.
You fit right in. Is that the Geronimo? Couch. I get that. Man, thank you.
Let's not even.
Had a good conversation with Tanner Foust. Think he aligns with a lot of what Chasin Tails feels about the world of hydroplane racing and the direction it needs to go in, and hopefully we can see some big changes this offseason and get things going in the right direction a little more. Thanks for watching.